Another collection of Dragon Ball What If requests here. The first one comes from Chaos Cateriano 7 on What If 18 won the 25th Tenkaichi Budokai. The biggest change that would come from this is that Mr. Satan wouldn't be seen as an unbeatable hero for the world to call on against Buu, and he has no reason to go to the Majin. Without these interruptions and Buu not rushing to fight with Gotenks, Gohan is the one to oppose Buu, and, letting the arrogance of his Saiyan side come out, manages to make Buu angry enough to perform a Bunrei as usual, before absorbing Gohan when still at a disadvantage. Both Goku and Vegeta are returned to Earth as usual, and fuse with the Potara when Buu deals with everyone. Events go similarly to usual, until Pure Buu destroys Earth, where Gohan, being the only one left to save, has Goku grab him and Kibitoshin restore his stamina, before the three Saiyans face Buu. Goku still takes his turn with Buu, and when he needs to charge up his ki, Gohan faces Buu, but is unable to land a decisive blow, with the latter's regeneration and unpredictable fighting style, as well as Gohan having become aware of Buu's good side still within him, which makes him want to save the latter, until they force themselves out, when having to turn to the Genki Dama. It's nowhere near strong enough without Mr. Satan's plea, but Gohan considers it a good distraction to Pure Buu, with his assistance having allowed Good Buu to deal some damage to him, and the Genki Dama keeping Pure Buu stationary just long enough that Gohan's Super Kamehameha eradicates every atom of him. As usual, that Buu is then reincarnated, as, even without Goku voicing his desire, Buu's wildness would have Enma want to reincarnate him ASAP, and his pure evil nature would have him be cleansed quickly. With nowhere to live, Buu ends up living at Kami's Shinden, with the Bunrei having Piccolo see some similarity between their origins, and tutors him on aspects of ki cultivation to bring out his best nature, eventually even unlocking Daikaioshin's consciousness. The first change in Super is the Universe Tournament, in which Buu, drawn on Daikaioshin's intelligence, has him pass the written exam. He draws Rock during the Janken decision, with him going in after Goku's loss to Frost. Being about as strong as in the Moro arc already, his power outmatches all the competition, but Vegeta's desire to face Kaba has him tell Buu to forfeit, and Piccolo's plate be changed to going after Goku. The tournament then goes the same, but with Hit jobbing to Piccolo rather than Monaka. The next change occurs in the Moro arc, where enough work has been done in bringing out Daikaioshin's memories that all Meris needs to do is wake Buu up. Piccolo is initially unwilling to let Meris take him with little explanation, with his flared up ki alerting Goku and Vegeta as Piccolo joins them on Namek. Far less time being needed has Buu get to Namek before Moro can gather the Dragon Balls, with Buu putting an end to the wizard. Meris then reveals his identity and is willing to tutor Goku, Vegeta, and Piccolo, with Goku eventually mastering Ultra Instinct, but Piccolo keeping an eye on Earth. The events of Superhero going near enough the same. For GT, Buu going through Shugyo for the past 15 years makes Super Oob far stronger than normal, but he still lets Baby eat him with the idea of taking him out from within, biding his time to assess the situation. Against Super 17, Oob is strong enough to fight on par with him, but attempts to end things with a Kamehameha are quickly countered. Oob's far greater ki than normal is enough for him to stay standing by the time Goku gets there, with him joining his master in finishing off Super 17. When fighting I Shinlon, Oob's greater capabilities have him avoid getting his arm injured, with Gohan agreeing to fuse with him as soon as Gogeta's fusion runs out, with Goku having not taken enough extra damage to make he and Vegeta's ki too different. The distraction from Gohan and Oob's fusion is enough for Gogeta to appear once more and swiftly annihilate I Shinlon. Shenlon doesn't bring Goku with him when leaving Earth without the events concerning the Su Shinshu, with Goku instead leaving Earth 11 years later with Vegeta to settle their rivalry, when both sense their lives come to an end, with Earth being left in Oob's capable hands. It's in this scenario that we see not just the important role Mr. Satan's characteristics played in the Buu arc, or how Gohan facing Pure Buu wouldn't be as simple of a result as power implies, but how surprisingly important, what seemed at first viewing like a disappointing cutaway from Gohan vs Dabra was quite a crucial plot point in retrospect. The next request is from Paper Prince 2 on what if Chichi prepared for and participated in the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai. Having prepared for the last 3 years to have Goku fulfill his promise, she defeats Pamputo in the preliminaries and is matched up against Goku in the quarterfinals, where she's beaten with similar ease to Pamputo after Goku overcomes his initial confusion at her onslaught. They get engaged afterwards, and Chichi quickly jumps onto the Kinto-un when Goku goes to track down Tambourine, when not wanting him to rush away from her again, but takes the till death do us part vow the hard way when Tambourine fights them both. She is revived with the rest later on, and upon learning Goku is performing Shugyo under Kami-sama, Muten Roshi tells her the best place to find out more would be Karinto. She goes with Kuririn, Yamcha, Tenshinhan, and Chaozu to Karinto eventually, but stays there to train under Karin until deemed worthy to meet Kami-sama. It's not until close to the day of the Budokai that she does so with her drinking the Choshinsui as the final test, and manages to survive before travelling to the upper realm and reuniting with Goku in time to get on the Kinto-un as he leaves for the Budokai. She still participates when frustrated at the struggle she went through just to find him, and wanting to prove to him the worth of all this. She manages to prove a slight challenge to Goku, with him having to make use of his superior stamina and durability, as well as the Mazoku-style Ki to efficiently win without removing his weights or wasting his ki. Chichi comes to see the value of a Shugyo path, but still not to the extent she'd allow Gohan to be placed in the dangers of battle before the Saiyan arc, with this essentially acting as an alternate prologue to a longer What If I've Done you ought to check out after this. The final request to round off this Budokai theme is by Saiyan Lord Zeto on what if Goku won the 21st Tenkaichi Budokai, the most logical turning point being Jackie Chun not managing to dig his foot into the ring to avoid a ring out. After winning the Budokai, Goku challenges Muten Roshi the next day, who is left with no excuse to avoid it. The fight makes it difficult for the Dragon team not to see how similar his moves are to Jackie's, with him admitting his identity now the purpose of Jackie Chun has failed. His biology keeping his body in better condition than the still recovering Roshi, Goku wins again. He would still go searching for the Sushinshu out of having nothing else to do, and having grown past Kame Sennin's teachings, but his attitude against the Red Ribbon Army would be far more arrogant in believing himself to have become the strongest in the world. However, this would quickly be reset with the loss to Tao Pai Pai, and Karin essentially giving him the same lesson Popo would do. Despite this, his attitude after conquering the Red Ribbon Army would make his goal less of seeking out greater opponents to overcome himself, and more kin to Vegeta's mindset of validating his title of Tenkaichi. Roshi still enters the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai, but without his disguise, with overt intent of assuring Goku of the worth of fighting to test one's own limits. Tenshinhan's victory thereby has Goku accept this, and the events with Piccolo Daimao and the Shugyo under Popo bring his ideals back to those of the Goku we know. Though this is where Goku's changes end. Roshi, having made his abilities overt, has Kuririn and Yamcha encourage him to not retire if he can become so strong in secret. Roshi decides to go through similar Shugyo to what he'd do later, and reaches comparable strength to Kuririn by the time of the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai. He is faced with Piccolo in the preliminaries, and causes the latter to offer praise, and more of his true power, as Kuririn would usually do through his strength and techniques, but events otherwise go the same there. Roshi would later join the other Earthlings in preparing to face the Saiyans, where his desire to protect the next generation would have him give his life using every technique he could against Nappa fruitlessly. He would join the others, learning from Kaio, and come to achieve the pseudo-ultra instinct he has in Super. Him needing to be wished back would cause the Namekians to leave after Goku defeats Mecha Frieza and Cold. After Trunks goes back to change history though, this new knowledge would have Muri decide to stay on Earth to pay them back for saving the Namekians, should their Dragon Balls prove necessary in the battle to come. The Cell arc goes relatively the same until after the Cell game, where the Namekian Dragon Balls being used to revive Cell's victims would do so for Goku before he could object. The Namekians would then wish to leave for a new planet, after Kuririn makes his wish, except Dende, who would take Kami's place as normal. Over the 7 years, Goku and Vegeta would achieve Super Saiyan 2. In the Buu arc, Goku would tutor Videl well on honing her ki, as would Roshi, with some occasional distractions. By enough, her ki would skyrocket quickly and be capable of defeating Spopovich, with Goten defeating Trunks too through Goku's tutelage. Roshi would then take Mighty Mask's place in the Budokai, with his better experience with Budokai and instinctual counters, having him throw 18 out of the ring during a battle royale, and beating Mr. Satan when believing the Saiyans are more than enough to face Babidi. With no time in the next world, Goku and Vegeta are relatively equal, with Vegeta having no reason to rely on Babidi, and disposes of Dabra to bring an end to Babidi's ambitions. He and Goku then have an intense battle, ending in Goku's techniques barely giving him a win, that make Vegeta realise the difference between their ideals, but Goku admitting he was very close to embodying Vegeta's ideals, if not for Muten Roshi and Ten Shinhan. Even with Roshi becoming stronger than the other Earthlings, his role in Super remains the same. Beerus asks about the Super Saiyan God without threats, and there are only few changes. Roshi takes Buu's spot in the Universe Tournament, and goes first to test the waters, countering Botamo enough to throw him out of the ring, but getting defeated by Frost eventually. Next is the battle with Broly, where without the fusion dance, Goku proposes the Potara Goasu taught him about, flaring his ki enough for Shin to notice, and have Kipto bring him them, with Vegito defeating Broly. The Moro and Granola arcs don't occur, but Goku manages to recently achieve Ultra Instinct at will by the time he decides to test Gohan. Where things go after this, we'll have to see. For GT, Baby's undisturbed plans are found out by Shin, who has Goku and Vegeta brought to the Kaioshinkai to use the Zetor sword, getting their potential unleashed, and being given the Potara, with Vegito proven necessary to overcome Baby. Goku and Vegeta eventually leave Earth to settle their rivalry, with how well their successors would fare being dependent on whether or not the Dragon Balls are overused. It's through the scenario that we see the two sides of the 21st Tenkaichi Budokai's narrative. Though Roshi's motivations in countering his students was correct, Goku's pure heart towards battle would prevent him completely losing his way, with the lessons his Chi-Chan Gohan instilled in him being just as important. Thank you for having watched through these 3 What Ifs. Comment any requests for What Ifs or general Dragon Ball videos, and subscribe to not miss them. Check out this playlist of all the ones I've made before, and with that, I'll see you next time.